Welcome back to Six Heart Media, and we are here to talk about our favorite books that we read this year. And I can't believe we're already talking about the end of the year because I still feel like it's January. I'm like, where did the year go?
No, that's true. It's been a long year, but one thing that will show you is like how long a year is when you really do pull up like your apps or and
Yes.
see like all the stuff you've done, and in our case, all the books we've read, which I actually read more than I thought I did. Now, I also had a lot I did finish.
Oh, you
Yeah,
fell off.
well, if we get, I might start it, and I might not be into that thing. Like, for instance, like The Art of Winning. I just knew when Bill Belichick's book came out, I'm gonna be excited. Then I think I got bored quick.
Yeah. Well, some books, when you hear that they're coming out, that you're gonna read it instantly. And shout out to the other book readers out there, because it's not a thing these days. Like me and my group chat, like we love that we can exchange books. Even I never listen to the suggestions because my just people your tastes are a bit different. Like when I was younger, I read a lot of fiction, mystery,
Okay.
obviously, Harry Potter. I guess you would classify that as like fantasy. But I read a lot when I was younger, but my adult reading taste is more like memoirs. And I was like accidental. It was like kind of falling off in like the fiction realm, getting more into like TV, but in like a real way. Like, I have a deep appreciation for it. So I the art, when it's done very well. But then I got back into reading when like some of my favorite people release their autobiographies. So I kind of gotten into like that phase. So I was going through my audibles and I'm like, okay, all of these are memoirs. I think it's also just like guaranteed. I don't like having my time wasted. So with like an autobiography, it's like guaranteed that I'm going to be interested in this topic. Like if and this sucks cuz I am an aspiring fiction writer, but it's very hard for me to like risk buying a book. Fiction, like you're really taking a risk. Like you really are trusting, like, you know what I mean? But like if
Yeah.
I know my favorite celebrity is gonna really talk about their story and their voice, especially, I'm gonna guaranteed.
I think that's what it is for me. Like I was never the biggest fiction reader, but there was a time so like my friend Andrea was dating this guy, and you know how ladies, you know how y'all are when y'all dating somebody, you want to support, you want to get all your friends to support them. So she's like, "Can you support my main book?" And I listened, I read the book, and I had to like get it it wasn't a Kindle, but whatever, it's like let's just say an iBook, right? And I bought it, and I was into it, and I was like, "Oh, I need to read the sequel." Then they like stopped dealing with each other, so I couldn't support him no more because he turned out to be a dillweed.
Oh,
But it was like
oh,
that, like it was kind of a
that's
good,
unfortunate.
yeah. But it was a good book. So I get that, but I was never the biggest fiction person. But like, if somebody I know writes a fiction book, I'm gonna read it. But I'm
Yeah,
definitely the memoir person, and I mean,
yeah.
I finished this last year, but. Shout out to my mother because she had a book release this
She
year.
definitely did.
you know and
And that's
it's
a special one.
yeah, it's a special one. It's edited by yours truly. So
Ooh.
and that was I had to, definitely gonna shout her out, and then
Yeah.
to
And
see
I
a
think
lot of people read it for the first time this year,
right.
especially having the book signing.
Yeah. And it's a story that resonates with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely support your mom's book.
Yeah,
It,
definitely appreciate
yeah.
that.
But you also know someone that wrote a book
Yeah.
recently. Actually, a
Yes.
few people. Like you get like books sent to you and stuff.
Well,
You
shout out to the
Hollywood.
homie Jemar. Mills. He wrote, which is a fiction. I know we talk about, but this is a more of a
Mhm.
comic, and it's
Mhm.
Pinpoint. And this is the
Graphic
beginning.
novel.
Yeah, thank you. And this is the beginning of a series. This is volume 1 and 2,
Mhm.
and I'm
Nice.
excited for that to come out. But I was able to interview him on Breaking Through Glass Ceilings,
Nice.
which y'all can check out right here on this platform. And we talked about that book. So, overall, it's definitely something I'm, really excited
Mhm.
about.
Yeah. So I had the pleasure of reading Natalia Neidhart's memoir this year.
Mm.
And I was so excited when she announced that she was coming out with her book because she's one of the most fascinating human beings on the planet to me.
Hmm.
And I have so much respect for this woman. Like she will like never know. Actually, I tell her every time I see her. But I love that that we were going to hear her story. And the only thing I'm sad that I did not get. I will get her to sign it. I will absolutely get her to sign this book. But it was so good. So I listened to it in her voice, which is
Yes,
awesome.
me too.
And then getting to hold the physical copy and seeing all the photos, and like there's something still so special about like physical books. But The Last Heart Beating is her book, and it really is, oh my god, ah, it's so good. But if you are, a women's wrestling fan, or just a fan of iconic athletes, and a lot of like people use the stories of like professional athletes, to like teach them like other and show them other ways of life and teach them lessons in life and things like that. And I feel like Nattie's story is so, I don't know, it's like complex in a way, because she comes
Yeah.
from a wrestling family. She comes from the Hart dynasty. She's the only woman that went into wrestling in the family, and she
Hmm.
has had a very iconic career. She's been a part of the evolution of women's wrestling as a whole, and to this day she is doing everything she can to keep the business alive and to teach women like real wrestling.
Yeah.
And I love that about her, and this was definitely my top favorite read of the year. Actually, it's hard to, I'm not going to rank them, but I was very happy to get my hands on this.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll say is, because I mean, you said everything, and I could echo all of that. The fun part was that we was able to like listen to this together at around the
Mhm.
same time, and it's like when you watch a movie and say, "So, what did
Mhm.
you think about this part? And what did you think about that
Yeah.
part?" And both of
Yeah.
us being diehard, not only wrestling fans, but diehard fans of
Mhm.
the Hart family. So
Yeah.
I was glad that we was able to really catch this as soon as it came out, because this was not
Yeah.
something we wanted ruined by the internet or stories that come out.
No. Right. And that was a first, like, for me in a long time, of just
Mhm.
like reading it instantly. But yeah, great job, Natty. And I really hope in like 10 years you write a sequel.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been on a streak. The WWE women's superstars have been on a streak writing iconic memoirs. Becky Lynch, the Bella twins, Paige, I'm currently reading right now, which I'm super late on actually, because that came out in March of this year. Um,
Wow, that was
but
this year.
yeah, which is
'Cause, yeah, I read that
crazy.
one too. That was really good.
Oh my god, I
Well,
read so
listen
many
to it.
books so
Wow.
quickly.
But
Yeah, he
again,
listens
it's
to them quickly.
it's so much fun when I understand some people don't have the time to
Hmm.
read their books, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
to the artists out there, if you do, and you have the opportunity, we
Hmm.
appreciate it,
We
because
truly
it's
appreciate
really
it.
feels like you're telling us the story.
Yeah, it is honestly amazing. And I really would love if Bret Hart, like if you somehow could, y'all could get this to Bret Hart, please record your
Mhm.
memoir
Yes.
for all of us, please. That's another book that I have physically too, that I'm very proud of.
Mm.
And I really appreciate it. But another book that I read this year was Luther Vandross. So I'm
Yes.
like obsessed. His documentary, I think, actually came out maybe a year ago, and then I
Mhm.
like went down that rabbit hole, and I had to look up, and I did a lot of research on like what was the definitive Luther Vandross biography book, like the, the well sourced real, because anybody can like write a book about whatever now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found it and I think thankfully it was in a audiobook form, and the voice didn't annoy me, and that was like such a time, because I was like also listening to his music again, falling in love with his
Mm.
music again, and his music means like so much to my family, to my like childhood, to my older sister's childhood, to my parents' relationship, to my mother's concert life. Like it's just like he meant a lot to my family, let's put it that way. And then for that doc to finally tell his story, and then to discover like beautiful music, and then to like listen to his memoir, so that was like a whole moment. So I just had to give like a shout out to being able to listen to his memoir and learning so much more about him.
Yeah, absolutely. You
Yeah.
know, you know, I got to give a shout out to Alyson Lynn Miller. She sent me this book,
Mm.
and it's an advanced copy, but it's about Hunter James and
What's it called?
oh, sorry, yeah, Rough House, a
Mhm.
father, a son, the pursuit of wrestler glory, and it really puts me in the mind frame of Heels, the TV show, and it's
Mm.
about Hunter James, who's a wrestling star, and you know, wrestling runs in their blood. I don't want to give away too much and I'm not finished
Mhm.
it yet, but shout out to her because the beauty of it is just like seeing how so many different people connect with this thing that we love called wrestling. And
Mm.
then like you hear stories when it's like, well, the two got together and they was able to call this match, or they was able to like go back and watch certain matches from before. So
Mhm.
I also want to give a shout out to somebody that we know. I call him OG, and that's the one and only Keith Elliott Greenberg. He wrote
Mm.
the book on AEW. So I haven't.
Nice.
I read a little bit of it, yeah, and our good close friend
It's
Pablo.
high quality.
Yeah, I mean, you should have seen when it
It's
came in
yeah.
the rapper. I mean, the book
Mm.
packaging was all elite, but you could see it's
Wow, no
like,
unboxing video.
well, because it was. But so that was these are the physical books. The last
Yeah.
physical book,
That's a great book.
yeah, so I'm excited to really jump into it. And then like my
Mhm.
good friend Whitney, she wrote a book. It's called How You Weight Matters, and it's more of a
Nice.
resource workbook about faith and just trying to stay
Mm.
prayed up in your waiting season. And I mean, of all people, it's something I need because
Mm.
I am the most patient person in the world. But it even gives you opportunities to write
Yeah.
down some stuff. So those are the
I love
physical
that.
books. But I got some. I like. I know you do the Audible. I also, but my Spotify Premium. We get books. I don't know if y'all
Yeah.
knew that, but Allen Iverson, Allen Iverson. I wish he read it,
Ooh.
but you get so hooked into the story. We watched the documentary, but you get hooked into the story that you kind
Mhm.
of you realize like it's okay. You know what I mean? But that was
Mhm.
definitely a book I finished. Say Hello to the Bad Guy by Mark Ramaldi, good friend of the program, and the NWO story. Even though that's one of those things, like
Mm.
even though we know it, it's still fun to hear like some of the little tidbits. You know what I mean?
Yes, and that's only books can give you that extra
E-
context,
exactly.
which is cool.
Yeah, and that's what I love. But the first book I read this year, which was
Mm.
ending last year into this year, the one and only Nicole Lynn, and anybody who don't know who Nicole Lynn is, she is the first Black woman to be an NFL agent, to have a player drafted in the
Mm.
top 5 of the NFL draft.
Nice.
She's really dope. I think she's with Young Money Sports now, with that agency. But
Okay.
just hearing her story and hearing what a Black woman has to deal with being an agent, but it also
Mhm.
gives you it's like a workbook on how to network, right? Like she'll say,
Mm.
don't ask for dinner because it's too much of a commitment, but ask for a coffee when you want to meet with somebody. So it's not that big of a commitment, but you're still showing you serious and you're willing to invest. Like,
Mhm.
hey, can I
Mhm.
take you out for coffee so I can get to pick your brain? So
Mhm.
that's one of the books you probably would have never guessed that I would have read or listened to was
Mhm.
The Original Sin. and that was
Mhm.
on the decline of President Biden. Totally
That was a shock.
outside of my wheelhouse, but
Yeah.
one of the authors and the press box was talking about it, and it had me interested. Which, when they do their
Mm.
media rounds, that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, right,
Supposed to
right.
sell you on a book. So yeah, that was
How was
definitely
it?
one. It was real good. It was real
Okay.
good. I probably would rather see it in a movie or something, but it was
That is
I don't like to get too
hilarious.
political a lot of times,
Right,
but
same.
the thing about it is when Joe Biden announced his that he was pulling away out of the race, that's like a
Mhm.
vivid memory from this summer on a day
Mhm.
we spent together. And if you
Mhm.
remember, I was like, "Uh-oh, I think my day is about to change," because I wasn't sure how work was going to go. And then I
Mhm.
remember, like, you had went home, and that was the night you was on one of the craziest bus rides, and I went to the gym listening to an episode of the press box about
Mhm.
it. So that's what made me interested in that book. So yeah, this is
Wow. And those be the sleepers. Cause you just reminded me of a book I actually read this year.
mhm.
And that was the book that The Residents, that Netflix series that we like.
Yes,
So that
I
it, we love
I
that.
didn't
So then
finish
I
it,
went
but
down a rabbit hole with that, and then I learned that it was, the credits roll, and I was like, oh, it's based on a book, and I read the book, and it's like anecdotes from people that have worked at the White House. So
mhm.
like the work at the White House that never leave. So they see presidents come and go, and it's from everyone from like a chef to a maid to a security guard, and it was fascinating. And it's one of those where I didn't want to listen to it, like I wanted to read it, so that's on my
Mm.
Kindle.
Okay.
So, and that's like and I like that book because I can pick it up and put it down whenever I want. So that's like my airport, my like traveling thing, because I don't need like the internet to read it. And it's just interesting stories.
Mm.
So that's a good one. That's a good one. And we're gonna link all these books in the description so you can check them out. And but yeah, I did enjoy reading those. Another one autobiography I read was Judy Garland.
Mm.
So how did I, oh, of course, Drag Race. Shout out to Jinx Monsoon. Anyone that subscribes to this channel and is a RuPaul Drag Race fan, we are here connected at the soul. But Jinx Monsoon does a Judy Garland impression on the Snatch Game, and that's when it's a challenge on the show where you impersonate a celebrity. One of the most like important challenges of the entire like franchise. And she
Okay.
does like this killer, Jinx Monsoon does this killer Judy Garland impression. So then
Mm.
that led to a rabbit hole about Judy Garland, and then I got fascinated about Judy Garland again, and but like on a deeper level. And then I did research and I was like, what's the Judy Garland autobiography? And then I got it and I listened to it, and the voice was actually really good, and it was a really tragic story. But I feel very connected to Judy Garland, and that is something that has always like revered her to audiences
I,
like to this day.
I
You know,
love that. I love
you
every
know who
bit
she
of.
is, right? Dorothy,
Yeah.
like in The Wizard of Oz.
Mhm. Yeah,
We
you
should
told
watch
me.
that movie one day.
Okay, I'm down. I'll tell you a book I just started. It's by Brian
Mm.
Solomon, The Irresistible Force, and this is on the life and times of Gorilla
Mm.
Monsoon.
That is
And
so up your alley,
yeah,
babe.
I am a
I'm
Gorilla
very excited
Monsoon
for
mark.
you.
He was the soundtrack of my childhood. Of like literally me being a toddler, adolescent in my grandmother's house,
Nice.
watching your wrestling and his voice. So I am really excited about that. And I got quite a few books to finish. I had started one on
Nice.
Barry Bonds Balco story about the steroids, and this is during the World Series, and I was in that rabbit hole, and I was like, all right, I
Hmm.
don't want to deal with baseball no more. I got to meet Jordan Childs. I started her book. I was like halfway through it,
Nice.
and I got like 3 hours left. And most of the time, if I don't finish a book, it's not because the book is bad. It's literally something else
Hmm.
will grab my attention, or I have to like really lock in the
Same.
podcast and stuff like
Hmm.
that.
But
Boys
I
will be
like
boys.
what's What's
That's
that?
about the Cowboys, but then the documentary came out.
Mm,
And the funny thing is,
mm.
Jeff Pearlman is a phenomenal author. He writes a lot of books on like different. So he wrote the book on
Mm.
the Shaq and Kobe and the Three Ring Circus. He wrote the book Showtime.
Nice.
So he wrote, he even wrote some books on Brett Favre. He done a lot of sports books, and I know there was like a little bit of
Mm.
controversy because he was talking about how the documentary took a lot of, they basically sourced
His
his
book.
book, yeah,
Yeah.
and he wasn't in the documentary,
That's
but
fucked up.
yeah, and I can remember like listening to his book a lot of times coming up there, so some of those stories like the Michael Irv, I literally remember getting off the train when I first listened to him talk about the Michael Irvin story with, getting stabbing the guy, and then to see it all
Mhm.
play out in the documentary.
Yeah,
So,
that's crazy.
but yeah, those are just some books that
Yeah.
I've read.
It was a good year for books.
Mm-hmm.
One real quick that I'm looking forward to reading, probably in the new year because I'm listening to Paige's book right now. It's
Mm-hmm.
Kid Cudi's memoir. He just did a press tour,
Oh
and I
boy.
like forgot how much I loved him. Like he was at like 2010s, like that era, that Drake, Kanye, that kind of era. And I was like, oh my god, I forgot I loved him. And
Mm-hmm.
he's a dope person. So I'm excited to listen to his memoir. So I have that on the rise. But we want to also hear about some books y'all read this year. I am so willing to get back into fiction. So let me drop some titles that I could do a little free sample on Audible, and I could check it out. And we'll definitely link our books. And if you've read any of the books that we've read this year, are you a memoir fan like us? Let us also know in the comments. And we're
Mm-hmm.
also going to be recapping our favorite movies we've watched this year, our favorite TV shows, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, what a year, 2025, but we made the best out of it.
Yes, we definitely have. And we will catch y'all next time.